Hi guys, my name is Halie Clark, and this is my Peeps family tree. So thanks to the help of my mom, I was able to actually fill in all of the 5 generations that were on the family tree, which is really exciting because I'd never really spent the time to do that before and look into that. However, much past their names, I'm not really certain exactly a whole lot, but anyways, we'll just start with what we know. So obviously my name is Halie and this is me. My parents are Alex and Patty Hunter. They've been married for 29 years. My dad is a healthcare consultant and he has 2 master's degree, one in business administration, one in theology. He is the oldest of 2 boys. His younger brother is 2 years younger than him, and he currently lives in Texas. My dad was born in Texas, then his family moved to St. Louis, Missouri, where he spent most of his life. Then his junior year of high school, my dad's family moved to the outskirts of London, where my dad went to high school for 2 years and graduated from high school there. And then he moved back to the States and went to Mizzou. My mom was a teacher at the college level, and then she taught at middle school. She taught industrial technology. She got her undergrad and her master's from Ball State University up in Indiana, where she was born and raised in a small town called Walkerton, Indiana, in the northern part of the state. After I was born, or right before I was born, she stopped teaching and has been a stay-at-home mom ever since. She's currently working on her certificate in theology from Mercer University in Atlanta. She has 2 sisters and she is the youngest. We'll go over my dad's side of the family first. My dad's parents' names are Fred and Elizabeth Hunter. My grandma goes by Betsy though. My grandpa, Fred, is a lawyer. Him and my grandma divorced about 22 years after about 22 years of marriage. Once my dad and my uncle had left the house to go to college, my grandparents decided to get a divorce. They were living in Missouri, and after they divorced, my grandpa moved back to Texas where his parents were. My grandpa's currently remarried. He has his master's degree, is a businessman, a lawyer, again, very, very smart and hardworking man. My grandma, Betsy Hunter, she was a 6th grade reading teacher for 30 years in the public school system up in Missouri. When she retired, she moved down to Georgia to be closer to family. She also has her master's degree. My grandparents' parents are Homer and Pauline Hunter. They resided in Texas as well. I got to know them while they were still alive, so I do have some memories of them from when I was younger. My great-grandfather was also a lawyer, was a very hard worker, and definitely passed on that gene to my grandpa, my dad, and to me. My great-grandparents from my grandma's side, I never knew. Her side of the family kind of had an interesting relationship and dynamic, just kind of some interesting, dynamics within the family. So I never really knew them, and these are just names to me. My mom didn't know much about her side of the family. My grandpa was an only child, and my grandma has 1 sister. My grandpa's family descended from Scotland, and so that's where a lot of our roots are. Scottish and English background, definitely. Just the European descendants is definitely where we have come from. Excuse me. And my family's actually able to take a trip to Scotland this summer to kind of revisit some of the places in our family history and just kind of get to know that side of the family better. So we're really excited to take that adventure this summer. Over here to my mom's side of the family, I already mentioned my mom. She grew up in northern Indiana with 2 sisters. She was the youngest. Her parents were Robert and Dolores Farrar. My grandpa passed away when I was about 11 years old. He was a farmer. He married my grandma at 18. They were high school sweethearts. He never went to college, was a farmer all his life, worked hard, and made his living by putting a crop in the ground. He had one brother. He was actually adopted, which I just found out recently from my mom. That he was adopted from, I think, Springfield, Missouri, and then his parents brought him to northern Indiana where he was, raised. And so actually my mom has been really interested in looking into his, background, just to kind of see kind of where he comes from and if there's any living relatives that come from his birth parents. So that will be really interesting to find out more about. My grandma was born in Illinois. She was one of 3 girls, as well as my mom. She had 2 sisters. She was the middle child. She's currently the only one of her sisters left living. Again, obviously, she got married right out of high school to my grandpa. She didn't go to college, but she worked in the sale barn in town, doing accounting and crunching numbers and, just working hard. I think all of my grandparents really were hard workers, which, again, was passed down to my parents and then to me and my siblings as well. So my grandpa's parents were Oris and Nora Farrar. They lived in a, small farming town of northern Indiana. My great-grandpa was also a farmer. I'm not really sure about how many siblings they had, again, because the further back, the little bit hazier it gets. But I know that my mom knew her great-grandparents, the Mann family, William and Zella Mann. And, my mom definitely has fond memories just of the close-knit family that her dad's side of the family was, which is really cool because with my mom being from Indiana, my dad being from Texas/Missouri, and then us living in Georgia, we aren't super close as a family unit in general. And so the fact that my mom got to grow up, with her grandparents right down the road, and then her great-grandparents just in town is really special to me. So I really like that. My grandma, one of 3. Her parents were George and Zelda Boatman, and they were from Illinois. And then their parents were Jacob Boatman and Ruth Boatman, and George and Tilly Sly. And again, my mom grew up knowing these grandparents from my grandma's side of the family, which is really special. The Sly family had, I believe, 3 or 4 kids. Obviously, Zelda Boatman was one of them. Definitely this side of the family was a lot closer knit, just growing up in that small farming community where they kind of stayed close to home, didn't go wander too far. And then my mom married my dad, and they left that small town living and moved to the big city of Atlanta, where our family has been ever since. And those are my peeps.